All right, we're back. We're broadcasting free on the interwebs. If you're watching us there, if not, I'm sorry you missed it and you'll watch it on demand. Okay, today's going to be a fun one. We've got the guys from Grass Valley back again. I've got Matt Bain with us, who's going to, and Scott and Belal, the whole team that you saw a couple of weeks ago when we talked about polling. But today the focus is going to be on, well, I want to call it the future, but the future is here right now, so I really can't call it the future. So we're going to showcase the Grass Valley Alyve platform, and Scott's going to give you the rundown. But it really, if we go back, 5, 10, 15 years, I mean, as technology continues to evolve and evolve and evolve, we always think of like, how much can we virtualize? When do I get rid of hardware on premise? When can I just manage all my content in the cloud and switch it? And while, 10 or 15 years ago, that was the future that nobody envisioned yet, except for in the movies. And even 5 years ago, when we saw hints of, some cloud processing and things being virtualized, like the beautiful part is today, it's here. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to elevate all your content from around the world, around the country, in different locations, put it all in one central console and be able to switch it live and manage it and effectively virtualize your infrastructure to one platform that you can run a show. And there's a lot of great stories about how this is being used right now, especially in the world of esports, where they're managing some big tournaments and being able to utilize players from everywhere and bring them into one platform. So I'm really excited about today's. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, we've got today with us Scott and Belal and Matt from Grass Valley to talk about the platform. I'm going to turn over the bulk of the presentation to Scott, and I'm just going to make silly comments throughout it because that's what I'm here for. As always, if you have questions, ask them in the chat window or in the in the Q&A portion. We will get to them at the end. So so stay to the end if you want to hear the answer. If not, we can email them to you, but it's more fun if you stay on because we might actually show it. There are 2 handouts, count them, 1, 2. Grab them while they're there because they'll disappear at the end of the show forever. You'll never find them again. So grab them right now while you're in and get that. And then stay tuned. This one's going to be a lot of fun. If you have questions, if you want to see your own personal demo of this, if you want to get pricing, the details are on the screen. Call, click, email, chat, use Skype. I don't care. Give us a buzz. Let's talk about these products, after the fact as well. So, and we want you to test this and demo it and play with it because that's how it's going to get used. And we know people are going to find some value in it. All right. With that, Scott, fire up the presentation. Let's do the fun parts.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the incredible intro. Now, if I actually, 1 second, I'm gonna do one thing for you, so that's a little bit of a better angle. Oh, there we go.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, fancy. I got my DSLR hooked up for a special occasion, so.
Yeah, I noticed all the DSLR companies updated their software to allow them to be used as chat cameras, which I think is awesome. Because a lot of us have great cameras.
I think it's great. So yeah, so now everyone's working from home, right? So everyone's trying to up their Zoom game. So this is part and parcel of it. So hopefully it doesn't die on me, but if not, I'll just revert back to the underneath view of my face. I don't like it as much. So I try to get something a little bit nicer as I do the demo for you guys. So let me jump into this. So what we're going to be speaking about today is Grass Valley Alyve. So like Nick alluded to, we are speaking about cloud control, cloud production, multicasting, just trying to get as much value and production value of your broadcast footage as you can, while obviously you may not have the infrastructure. So this is something that has been definitely explored more often than not recently, just because of our current conditions. So as you know, we're all working from home. Most of us are working from home still. And we're trying to find ways to do the exact same thing, keep business running as usual as it was before, just remotely. So this is one of the tools that can help facilitate that, either in an environment like we're living through right now or otherwise. But that's really where, as Nick alluded to, the future of broadcast is going. We're trying to do more things without having to worry about getting into the office, worrying about expensive infrastructure, et cetera, and so on and so forth. So let me just share a graphic that is going to give you a really nice summary of of what this does at a high level. Here, give me a quick second to share my screen. And okay, sorry about that. There we go. Okay, so if you can all see my screen now, hopefully.
I've got it on my side.
Let me just zoom in a little bit. It's a tiny bit small. So what we have here is we have a nice drawing of Alyve, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the concept of how Alyve works, how it allows you to manage all of your broadcasts and your footage and your feeds in the cloud. So the core concept, and then I'm going to walk you through how it actually works in the backend. So we'll walk through the software. So how Alyve actually works, if you walk through this workflow diagram, it does a really good job of showing all of your inputs on the left-hand side. So you have all of your different types of inputs. You have all of your different types of cameras. It could be anything from production camera, web camera, drone, IP camera. We have opportunities with cell phones being able to integrate into it. It could be video on demand. So you have all these different types of assets. Now you're taking all of those assets and you're bringing them into the cloud. So you're collecting them wherever you're capturing the footage, you're bringing them into the cloud. And then now you have the option with our Alyve producer to manipulate those assets. You can overlay graphics on those assets. You can switch between and transition in between the different broadcast inputs and assets. And then finally, on the right-hand side here, you see all of our outputs. So the formal term is called multicast, but it's not just multicasting in the sense that you can push these assets that you're manipulating in the cloud to a variety of endpoints, social being some of them. You can also embed these in web players. You can embed these feeds in apps, so on and so forth. The opportunities are endless, really wherever you want any of the clips or the feeds that are coming through Alyve to go, we can show them there. So that's really the workflow of the product, quite simple in its concept. As you can see here, there's 3 little individuals just showcasing the fact that the producer in Stockholm, New York, and Seoul can all be working on the same project because it's a cloud project. It's a cloud infrastructure. It's all SaaS. So you're logging in with the username, password, you have access to the dashboard, and that's really it. So there's no hardware required for this solution. So now I'm going to go over to the Alyve dashboard. So I go over to the Alyve dashboard. There's a lot going on here. So I'm going to walk you through everything. I'm going to try and just move some of these little windows out of the way so they're not blocking my view. And as I walk through this dashboard, this is a dashboard that will essentially allow you to view all of the footage, all of the inputs. You can transition in between them. We can look at some graphics options and so on, all the things that I just mentioned, but I'm going to walk you through the actual workflow. So when you log in, this is the dashboard that you actually get. If you see here, there are 2 clips going on right now. We have 1 clip on the right-hand side and 1 clip on the left-hand side. These are the 2 player view windows that allow you to sort of preview what the clip is and then eventually go and push it out into a live stream or broadcast or multicast, wherever you'd like to push it out to. So if I want to start previewing a clip, we'll walk through a demo of what the workflow would look like. I can go down to the bottom where I see all of my sources. So if you see here, I have a few different sources. And these are small little thumbnails that show you a brief summary of what that source is. It's not going to be a live video. It's going to show you a frame every couple seconds. That's going to show you what that source is. As you can see here, we have some outdoor mountains, plains. We have what looks like a police standoff. We have someone who looks like they're presenting a webinar. And then we have the inside of it looks like, I can't see if it's a server rack or it's a smaller clip, but there's something going on there. And it looks like a lot of screens and a lot of technical equipment. So as you can see, and then there's some blank ones. There's some gray ones that are grayed out, and those are just ones that aren't being used right now. So as I go through my little clips, you'll see if I'm pressing preview, it gives me a 3-second countdown, and then it pushes that clip into my left-hand preview window. and I'm just going to premise, because I always say this, I'm not sure what my internet is like. I'm not sure how well this is streaming out. If there is any latency or any frame drops, or you notice it, that's not the case if you were sitting in the chair beside me. So when I'm watching this video right now, audio is perfectly synced up. Video is running beautifully, and there is no lagging, intermittent, whatever issues with it. And that's the experience that you would get as a producer managing this software. So if I want to, I can scroll through and I can look at different sources that I have coming in. And you can imagine that these could be, you know, I have 4 sources here, but I can have 10 sources, 50 sources, 200 sources that can all be put in this little viewer, in this little source area below. So this is, and we're going to talk about the opportunities to include it in other tools. Like I think this is Nick's cell phone right now. I'm not sure what he's using, but I think this is his cell phone that he's actually a source in my preview. So
correct.
Yeah. So as I pick the source, I've previewed it, and now I maybe want to actually push this out. I want to push this into my live view. So I have the preview window, I have the live view window. It's going to give me again another countdown, and you'll see this clip here is going to move from my left to my right. So this is like a show of cops or something like that. It looks like there's someone running away from police. This is not a fun clip. I'm going to use the nature one instead. Actually, that's probably a more fun clip. But as you can see, this is the last chance that I get before publishing it live. So I have preview, then my live view. And if I want to actually push this live, it's extremely simple. I'm pressing go live. I'm picking my endpoints where I actually would like it to go. It has some native social integration as well as custom RTMP integration. So on this account enabled, I have all my Facebook, my YouTube, and I can do one. I can do as many as I'd like. I can do you know, groups. I can do pages. I can set up my YouTube. My personal YouTube is not hooked up to this, but if it was, I could set that up. I can also do custom RTMP. Other opportunities would be, for example, custom RTMP can quite literally go anywhere. We can do other formats with output. We can do other encoding formats. We can also do other social accounts. We can do Twitter. We can do LinkedIn. If like Instagram, anywhere you think you'd like to push it, custom web player embed, anywhere you want to actually push this feed, you can push it. So for simplicity's sake, let's pick a Facebook page.
Scott, is there a limitation to the number of simultaneous outputs you can have?
No, there is not. So you can have my personal Facebook page. I could have a company Facebook page. I could have a group. I could have my YouTube channel. I could have multiple YouTube channels. I can have unlimited RTMP addresses. And as you can see, they're just sort of stacking up on the right-hand side. So I can see everywhere it's going to be going. So when I actually press the go live button, it's going to be going, if I press go live at this point, to these 4 different outputs. And there is no limit. So I'm going to go down to my Facebook pages. I'm going to title what the video is, say test video, and then test video 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, I'm not so creative, but that's just showing you put title, the description. We can geo-target if you want to only display it in a certain region. We also have the ability, which I will touch on in a little bit, to record everything that passes through our system. So I can save it as a video on demand, or I can choose not to. And then I'm going to be going live. So when I go live, then, oh, sorry, I already pressed that. So then now I'm actually live. So that's transitioned into a little red live indicator. It's showing me the length of the runtime. If I go over to my Facebook page and I refresh that, then you'll actually see this live broadcast. And now once we're live, we can do a few other things. Give me a quick second, I'll pull that up. Okay, so now we have a live broadcast here. So once we have this live broadcast, this is, you know, test video, test 1, 2, 3, 4. Very simple, not a very fancy stream by any means. Let me throw some comments and some likes so I can show you what that looks like on the dashboard later on. Love this video. So as you can see, we have the live video. Very simple, straightforward. That's not so complex. Now I have a live video here. Now the real magic is when you can start switching in between different streams. So if I wanted to switch to a second stream, and I can do anything that I'm doing, by the way, that I'm going to be doing in a live environment, I could also do it ahead of time, right? I don't have to always have the live function enabled and to be actually live to switch in between streams, to overlay graphics and do some of the other things that I'm going to show. But if I wanted to, for example, stream, it looks like Nick's playing video games during this webinar.
I'm working.
Okay. So, so we got the stream going. I'm going to move this preview over to my live feed, and then it'll take a few seconds to actually sync up. And then if I go back over to my Facebook, then that will transition into the new stream that I just transitioned. So latency depends on various factors. Me being on Wi-Fi through 2 floors of cement and not in the best location, it's about 15 seconds. But there could be better setups than what I have right now. We aim for about 2 to 3 seconds latency in a broadcast environment at most. But now you can see that on my live stream, I think I have I don't know what video game character that is, but it looks like he's at some sort of huge it looks like some sort of outdoor concert in a video game. I don't know what's going on there, but that's so that's showing you in between, switching between different feeds. Now I want to migrate to, I think this is Nick's cell phone. Again, it's going to go switch to the new stream, and then if I go to, and by the way, this is meant to be a tool. So I have a stream going, but I can still preview other streams, so I can see what's coming up next. And if I go to,
want to see the inside of my crazy environment, this is it. This is the oh, you got Tendo as well.
Yeah. And now we have Nick's studio live. And as you can see, that's yeah. So that's just showing the functionality. So right now he is using a cell phone app to generate a stream input into the producer, which I just switched to. So let's go back and look at some of the other functionality. So now you've sort of seen the basics. There's a few other transition features. You can dissolve in between different streams if you want to dissolve. We could do a straight cut. To actually add more streams, I want to show you that process. So you can see here there's a blue button that says plus new stream or plus new video on demand. So plus new stream, it's very simple. I'm just naming it stream number 1 or number, I don't know if it allows special characters. It should, but I'm not sure. So we'll go stream number 1. It gives me my stream URL and my stream key. It gives me my stream tokens if I want to use a token for security purposes. It gives me my breakdown of all my parameters, as well as my recommended stream settings. This isn't the required stream settings, but it's the recommended based on how this profile is set up. And then I could give this RTMP address and this stream key to Nick or anybody with an encoder anywhere, and that will now act as a live feed in my instance. So that's really as simple as
and I think
it is.
You hit it right there is a really valuable thing, right? Is anybody's encoder, because I mean, right now we've got lyrics running on my phone, broadcasting to you. I've got your stream key in an Intonor encoder broadcasting to you. We've got, so I mean, literally anybody's encoder that can support that very standard RTMP URL can be a contributor to this platform, right? And so there's nothing proprietary in terms of the additive model here in terms of getting content into the platform. So we can really take advantage of all this amazing streaming gear that's already out in the market, but be able to bring it all under one banner in terms of managing where the content's going.
Correct. So this is meant to help, like you mentioned, just bring all that content into the one spot. There's a variety of ways that you can use this, but think about like crowdsourced content, citizen journalists. Everybody has a cell phone. How simple is it now to get all these other shots in a news environment, a news arena, you know, first person on the scene of an event, or it could be a fan in their home celebrating when somebody scores a goal or gets a touchdown or whatnot, or it could be a fan in an arena. Or there's all these ways that now you can incorporate all these other devices into a live environment easily. And that's really the purpose. It's really, and you know, we set this up ahead of time with Nick's cell phone, but it took all of, like when I create these new streams, I have RTMP and stream key. You're just literally copying and pasting those into the fields in whatever encoder or whatever app you're using to broadcast, and then it's up in about 5 to 10 seconds. So it probably takes just as long to copy this over, email it, Nick to get it, as it does for him to copy and paste it into the fields in his Lyrics broadcaster app, which is an open source app, or any other encoder, and then it would appear here as a source, just to show the simplicity of it. Now, the one other field you'll notice in the same area of the screen as the stream is the VOD asset. So I don't have a VOD asset loaded up into my instance, but we do have the opportunity, if you wanted, to pull a VOD asset. And this is a one-click upload from your desktop, from your computer, from whatever CMS, from whatever, you know, whatever server you're hosting your content on. You can map that anywhere, but you're really just clicking it, uploading it, you're labeling it, and then, you know, it's a live video on demand, and you choose to play it very similar to the way that we play streams. So there's an option to preview the video on demand, and then there's an option to stream the video on demand. How the video on demand works: if you choose to stream the video on demand, the video on demand will take over your live stream session for the length of the video or until you choose to manually stop it. But it never replaces completely, so you don't have to worry about quickly switching in a live stream right after the video on demand cuts. If it's a 2-minute or 3-minute clip, think like a commercial or an advertising break. After the video on demand cuts, it jumps right back to the live stream that was already there. So that's one note for a video on demand piece that you don't have to worry about, and that's why it makes a really good commercial or a small segment, small clip feature that could act as a small interlude or a break in your live broadcast. Now, other features as I move over to the left side of my screen, there are a couple menu items here. The first one being graphics. So if I want to overlay graphics, currently right now I have loaded up some static graphics. So I have lower third, and it all functions the same way. So you always have your preview before you're live. So I can preview any graphic, I can push it live. So I have my lower thirds static. You know, I can have my little live buttons, logos, whatever you want really. They can be completely solid and opaque, or they can have some transparency. I'm trying to find one that has some transparency built in. Let me see if I can find one. But these would all be your graphics that you could overlay. Is there any that, one second. There is one. I know there's one. Or what I could actually do, you know, I'm being lazy. I can actually edit it, and I can go to the timing. I can choose if it can go on whenever I click it to go on. I can set preset timing, so it goes onto the screen at a certain time point, or I can manipulate it myself. And here is what I was speaking about. So if I want it to only come in at 50%, I can choose at 50%, and then I can press submit, and now that graphic will come in slightly transparent. These are all very static graphics. We are going to be rolling out HTML5 dynamic, so moving graphics, beautiful, dynamic, everything sliding in and off the screen, anything you can really imagine. Those are going to be released this quarter. So it's going to be an extra layer of graphics. So anything you can possibly imagine that could appear on screen, you know, a rolling lower third, a logo sliding in from the top right, a dissolve, a logo, you know, flares up on screen, whatever you can think of, that would be all HTML5 graphics, and that's going to be released in the next few weeks. We've already been testing that out, and that's going to be a very, very nice upgrade to the graphics package. And just to show you that the live graphics, so now I've pressed live, not just preview. So now I have my, I love that one, kills me. Anyway, so that one, so now I have my graphics on screen. If I go over to my stream, let me play it again. Sorry, my personal internet is a little bit laggy on this, so I'm gonna refresh the Facebook account so I can actually see that. And then anything you choose will actually show up on screen on your live stream. So there, now you have your graphic, your lower third, and you can stay on for as long as you want. You can remove it. Like I said, you can set the time that it comes on and leaves the screen so that you don't have to be managing it if you want a logo to come on at a certain time during a broadcast or a stream. So that's a little bit of a summary of the graphics. I can also organize them into different buckets. I can star my preferred graphics. So there's a couple different organizing options as well. As I go down, oh, and also the most important, I can upload new graphics. Similar to the new stream or the new VOD or video on demand button, you'll see a button here that says plus new graphic. If I click that, very similar. I'm just uploading from a CMS. I'm uploading from my desktop. I'm uploading from my Google Drive. Doesn't really matter. I can upload a graphic on the fly, label it, and then I can push it right into my stream. Now, as I go down, we're going to start seeing some additional features, some nice to have analytics, as well as some others. But as I go down in sequence, there's a comments feature. So that shows me my comment that I left on the video 11 minutes ago now. So you will see all the comments on all of your videos across any of the platforms that you're broadcasting this out to. And if you want, I can actually see that comment. I can push that comment as a live comment onto my feed as social proof. So I will take my graphics down for now. I'll stop those, and I'll take that off. And then what I'll do is I will push this comment as a comment into my live feed. So if I press live, and we do this obviously so you can audit what's going out into your live feed, so people aren't just commenting all kinds of things. So now, very basic graphic, and this is all customized whenever we roll this out for a customer, but it just shows that Scott said, love this video, and you can keep pushing these out as you stream. So somebody's actually managing this, and you're going to get some comments. You're going to get hopefully a lot of comments because your content's incredible and popular, and you can push that out into your live feed. And then that
So
would
Scott,
actually become,
a couple questions on that one right there. So is the push of that across all platforms, even if the comment only came from one platform?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and then you mentioned having somebody moderate. Can more than one user be in this platform on the same account simultaneously? So you could have somebody managing sort of the social media content while another person is switching it.
Yes, you could. In theory, yeah, you could. So if you want to have two people managing this instance, like we sort of showed before when I showed you all these different producers, you could have one person moderating the comments and one person switching between the different feeds and one person who's managing the graphics, all on the same. To be quite honest, it's a very simple tool to use. So I would actually say that this is something that if somebody was trained on this, they could probably manage all those aspects on their own, and unless it was an enormously large account where you want to, audit comments and you're getting 100 comments every couple of seconds. In most instances, you could probably manage this on your own. But if you just wanted to make sure that there was no issues and people weren't stressed out about managing a live broadcast, you could switch up the duties so that multiple people could be managing and basically producing the live broadcast through the same instance.
Well, and I think that's really interesting because what you bring up is that, this isn't a platform that requires a TD with years of experience at a console, right? This could be a social media producer that is really focused on the content more than the application of the content, right? And focused on moderating the social media feeds and the feedback coming from it. And so they're not bogged down by sort of like, am I switching on time, but it's, am I getting content out there and am I making that content relevant to the moment?
So that's a very good point. So it's not meant to be a complicated solution in terms of the user experience. It can do quite a bit, but it's not the way that we set up the dashboard, and we've gone through multiple iterations and versions of this dashboard to make sure that as you walk through, it's intuitive and it's easy to use. It's easy to get to where you want. If you're looking at the comments, you're not losing sight of all your streams, and you're still being able to see what's like. We've made it so that it is very user friendly, to put it simply. Anyways, just going off and finishing up the comment piece. And that was a good question and a good point, because a lot of the people that look into this kind of product are the people that are managing digital teams that could have perhaps a primary broadcast that they have, they have $5 million worth of equipment in a room already. They're not going to replace $5 million of equipment that they just purchased, but there's a really good chance that they're not using that content for like all the other platforms that they control. So this is a really good tool to do that effectively without investing a ton of money in physical hardware and without investing a ton of money in training. So that's really a really good use case that you highlighted. Now, if I go through more common features, we have filtration for profanity. We can change the publish mode, so we can put them in queue, or we can have an automatic publish mode. We have different themes that we can actually install into the account. We can choose how long the comment wants to stay on the screen. So just some basic moderation tools. We also have, moving down again, a waiting room. So if we want to create a waiting room, we're starting the broadcast soon. And then there's some themes here that are very boilerplate themes, but I can create a waiting room, and that waiting room will actually count down to a live broadcast if I was running a live broadcast, or if I hadn't started a broadcast yet. I also have stats and analytics that are live in real time. So that views the stats across all of your social channels that are integrated or that is being broadcast on. So right now I have 1 comment and 1 like, and that's just me. And I think I have no one watching because I'm over here. But if there was more people watching, that would be showing a graph of the real-time viewership of your live stream across all your channels. Again, we're aggregating all that data across all the Facebook or the YouTube or wherever it's pushed, and we have all that here. So it's a nice little dashboard. And these are also tools that we can use to pull additional analytics. So if you want to see viewership at a certain point, or if you want to see viewership over your event, sure, it's nice to monitor it here, but we have the ability to generate reports based on what your requirements are as a digital team member, as a broadcaster, as anybody who's using this, so that you have those analytics and you have those data points, which is always important when you're going into new channels, right? If you're going and starting to publish on Facebook for the first time, YouTube Live, you want to start publishing on any of the social media channels, you want to figure out how do you monetize this? How do you get ad sponsorship for the social stream? Well, now you have analytics being pulled in, so you can actually show the data points of viewership, and you can have some things that some tangible takeaways and KPIs that you can measure yourself against for your broadcast. And now, this is all done. Yeah.
Is that data downloadable after the fact? Does it only exist in the moment?
No, it's downloadable after the fact. What I meant by reports is we can generate reports after the fact because we're capturing all of this and we're storing it. Cool. So nice. if you want to have reports after a 2-hour broadcast of the different viewership over the course of 2 hours, you're not going to see all of that here. You're going to see a few minutes of a small little chunk of time, and you're going to see all the views, comments, and likes total here. But you may want to see different trends over the course of 2 hours, and we can map that out for you. Okay. Now, if I keep going down here, the last block or the last little widget that I have is the recording. So everything that is live is automatically recorded. This account has been set up so that anything that's live being broadcast is recorded. We can also set it up so that anything coming in, so any of your incoming streams are also recorded. We can set it up so that it records in certain intervals. So it records in a 15-second or a 30-second or a 60-second interval, depending on what your requirements are. We can set it up so that those recordings are deposited somewhere else. So perhaps if you're doing just in summary.
Hey, Scott, we lost your audio temporarily. Let me try killing your webcam for the moment, just to see if that gives you some bandwidth back.
So Nick, while he's trying to figure that out, I think this is a good time to point out a lot of the questions that we're getting lately around how to do a remote broadcast due to distancing requirements, and how this is probably the easiest way to do that in a really quick manner, and it's a SaaS model, which means that the way we can pay for this is much easier if it's a temporary system while we're getting the rest of our larger systems up and running, or if this is a strictly social play for my company. This is a really easy way to accomplish remote production without much investment at all.
Right.
By the way, I'm back, guys.
There he is.
My network dropped. That wasn't my audio. That was my whole network dropped. Sorry about that, guys.
No, it happens. Welcome to the modern world we live in. No, so Matt, yeah, I think Matt's bringing up a really interesting point now, which is the ease and flexibility of firing this up and getting on air and creating content and starting to monetize that content without the massive investment. Matt, I mean, in your mind, who is the clientele for this? I mean, let's dial that back. Who should be looking at this? Who should be using this?
Really, anybody that wants to have a live video presence on the web, or it doesn't even have to be live, but wants to control their web video presence and would like to do that remotely through a cloud-hosted solution. I mean, a lot of the questions that we get are around, we physically can't be in the same room. I can't have somebody sitting at a switcher. I can't have somebody sitting in my studio. I need them to be at home and being able to control my web presence. And that's what this does really beautifully without a lot of investment in infrastructure. So this solves a lot of problems that are out there that are very, very specific to the times that we're in right now.
Yeah, and then in looking at the aspects of how this is managing multiple destination or multiple endpoints and aggregating that data, I think that's very powerful because we can encode to a single platform, and we can go to that platform and we can get metrics. But being able to take metrics from all the platforms simultaneously and gather data and see what the interactivity is with our content in real time is very, very powerful. So I think that dashboard there to see what are your contents going, who's talking about, what are they saying about it, can be very powerful for a content producer to know in real time, are people enjoying my show, right? Did they like that last moment? Did they like that last guest speaker? Did the advertiser, was it a hit? Do I want to play that clip again later? I mean, for somebody doing a live broadcast that wants to be able to look at all their endpoints simultaneously, not just Facebook, not just YouTube, not just LinkedIn, but to be able to gather all those metrics in a real-time stat, that's extremely powerful. To know how is my content being welcomed out there, and what was the interactive moment that people were enjoying the most.
Yeah, no, that's very important. I just wanted to summarize. I was finishing up with the recording session. Did everybody hear the recording piece?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, that was where we dropped. Okay.
Yep.
I was just saying for the recording piece, which is the last piece of this product. So just to wrap up quickly, everything, the way this account has been set up, everything that is streamed is recorded. So we have the recordings being deposited wherever you want. It could be in your local system, at your local computer. It could be in a CMS. It could be in a drive somewhere. So we have this set up so that everything broadcasted and pushed live is recorded, but we can also set it up so that all the incoming is also recorded. How that could be used for outside of just recording the sessions, you can be depositing this in a drive somewhere that another team member has access to. They can be taking that content, they can be repurposing it. The almost real-time GIFs, social content, clips, that kind of thing. So we have that ability built in so that everything that goes and passes through the system is going to be deposited and recorded somewhere for later use. So that's the last piece of it.
And is that on each individual incoming stream or only on your live output?
We could do both. We can do either or. Right now, this one, the way it's set up is just on the output. So the refined output stream, like whichever, all the transitions, all the overlays, that output side that's actually being broadcast on Facebook, that's what this account is recording. However, we can set it up so that all the input streams are also being recorded at the same time. So you have that clean feed coming in that hasn't been switched or transitioned or manipulated or had any graphics on it. you can also record that and push it wherever you'd like.
Nice.
So that's really that is the product at its core. I don't have any other oh, I just actually, you know what, I will do one more thing. I think you can still see my screen. We have some very basic settings. So we can change the output, we can change the output resolution if I wasn't streaming live. And we have just a few different options. So whatever, and that's also another point too that's very important. We can ingest whatever resolution or frame rate or whatever your video specifics are. We can ingest anything and we can output in any format. So it's very versatile in that sense. So whatever you want to ingest or whatever you want to output, like we're talking all the way up to 4K, although no platform will ever actually stream in 4K. You could, in theory, broadcast out in 4K if you wanted to. You can ingest in whatever format you'd like. So that is the platform. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, okay, this product's great. What does it entail when I actually go to purchase it? You know, what is the sales of, how does one buy Alyve? What are the options?
Sure. So it is a SaaS product. So how we've set it up, how the commercial model is very traditional SaaS. We have set it up so that it is a recurring monthly, and a lot of the packages. I don't have the packages in front of me to give you the exact number of seats and hours, but it is really just based on the amount of people that want access. So a seat, a traditional software, a SaaS model for a seat, and then also the amount of hours that you would be streaming. There is usually a setup fee for us to configure the account. We can take care of graphics. We can take care of anything that you need done that's sort of outside the box, all the way through to even, like, you know, building a web player if you have a website you want to stream onto. We do it end to end, but out of the box, it is a SaaS play. So amount of hours streaming, the amount of seats, setup cost. If you subscribe to longer contracts, we can negotiate the setup cost. Like if you're doing, you know, not just a few months or 1 month, but 12 months. Another point to note, just because of the reality that we're dealing with right now, a lot of people are discovering live streaming tools for the first time. We've done a ton of one-time events. That's totally okay. It definitely fell a little bit outside of our initial pricing model. But I think that's the reality we're dealing with, where people are having to understand how to move their events remotely, and they still need streaming tools to do that. So we've been accommodating that. A lot of people have been requesting that, so that's also an option. So I would say, regardless of whether or not you want to use this product long term, which is obviously our, you know, we would love that. Regardless of that, or you have a one-time event, it will be dictated mostly by the amount of hours that event is taking place. And the amount of people and how many licenses you need. So those are the key differentiators. And like I said, we're very flexible with how we set this up. Like this is a product that we are constantly evolving. We're putting a lot of effort in. We have a dedicated development team in it and working on it. And what that means is it's a focus for us. So if you come to us with use cases or examples of how you want to use this, it could be helping you facilitate and run a remote conference, and it's not going to be something that you're going to be hosting every month. That's fine. We can help you with that because we have the tools and the technology to do that. And then you start to think about, I don't know who was sitting on this webinar last time, but the incorporation of audience engagement tools that we have, plus the live streaming. That's why events have started to become very popular as well. So whether or not you're using it for multicasting as a social tool, or you're using it just to help facilitate and like run business as normal for, you know, like town halls, stand-ups, remote events, we will work with you and in whatever capacity, because I think that a lot of people are looking for creative video and live streaming solutions, and we're sitting on one. So that's really our reality right now.
All right, guys, we got questions stacking up here, so I want to start tackling these. First one coming in is closed caption. Do you have support for closed caption? Is it pre, post, embedded? What does it look like?
Sure. I'm going to actually ask Belal, can you come on for technical integrations, because I know you're closer with the product roadmap and what we can and can't do. Would that be all right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So for the closed caption, basically the social streaming platforms that we stream to have that built in. If you want that to be part of, let's say, an OTT site in which we include a closed caption, we can customize that for you, but that's not out of the box with the product right now. It is on the roadmap to be out of the box as soon, though.
And are those captions being done in the Alyve platform, or are they expected to be done on the content that's coming into Alyve?
So I was referring to basically Alyve doing the closed captions. If you are doing it before you get it to Alyve, then we have it and we just kind of pass it through. But in the first case I mentioned, in which we're actually taking a feed that does not have a closed caption and we're sending it to Facebook Live or YouTube Live, they have the ability to actually have the closed caption out of the box and directly from their side.
Perfect. To both of you, how quickly can this be set up and be used? I mean, is this something that somebody could light up an instance in 20, 30 minutes from now?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
It
Ian,
takes us like
take the
less than 2 minutes to actually set up an account, and then we'll just make sure that it's running properly on their system.
There's an interesting question from the audience asking if it can handle things like Zoom and some of the video conferencing applications. Is it only WebRT, or I would say not WebRTC, RTMP, or have you tested it with other types of sources?
So majority of the conferencing solutions like Zoom and like WebEx in this case, they both have an RTMP out. That's the main format that they use. And it's a very common use case for us. So we usually have a dedicated RTMP destination. They will just stream to it, and then everything else gets managed from this point on. One thing nice about Zoom specifically is when you actually take an RTMP or some sort of a video capture out of Zoom, they usually have a branding for Zoom in the right bottom corner. So with the graphic packages that Scott has shown to you, you can create some sort of like a skeleton in which you can cover a lot of it, and you can have your own embedded graphics, so that it makes the experience more professional overall. Now, from a general perspective, the system can take in RTMP, RTMPS, MPEG-, SRT, and HLS as input streams.
Okay.
So there's different protocols we can support.
Can you talk about the end-to-end latency and what the expectations are?
Yeah, so this is something we're continually refining as we speak. There are some pieces of this will be moved over from SLDP protocol to WebRTC, which will improve latency as well. Right now, we're about 2 seconds of latency from ingesting, transcoding all the way to going out. So that's currently what the latency is.
Nice. Let's see. So we had some questions about where the content was coming from. So just to reiterate for everybody, so of the streams you see in the multi-viewer, the My Streams, those are coming from various sources. We have encoders pretty much all over the country. So we've got a couple in California, a couple where Scott are. The content you see coming in as far as the live motion video is streams coming from different encoders, both software-based encoders and hardware-based encoders, feeding into the system, and then video clips that are being played on demand that are hosted in the platform. There was a question about NDI video, and I think the answer to that one is because this is cloud-based, not NDI, but I'm assuming SRT. Are you guys supporting SRT for incoming streams?
We do support SRT, yes.
Cool. And NDI wouldn't traverse the firewall, so it wouldn't be able to hit this one unless it was over a VPN. Have you guys tested being able to input NDI video into this platform yet?
We have not.
Okay. There was a reference to being able to composite multiple images together. Is there any feature set to that facet yet, or is it just point to point, or just one clip to the next?
When you say compose multiple images together, are we talking about like having multiple images showing on the top of the stream?
Yeah, so
or actually editing the images? Yeah, that is out of the box. You can have as many images as you like on top of the actual video output. So that's already there. And one of the features that we're working on is basically having the ability to create animations with these graphics. So you can have animations, and you can edit the content on the fly. So like here in this lower third, you have sport news showing. You can easily click on it and then change what's in the actual lower third.
So you're saying you can do that with graphics. Is it possible to do that with multiple video sources though?
With multiple video sources, this is something that actually the team is working on, like a picture-to-picture.
Yes.
It's not live yet, but it is
Okay.
something that we're working on, and it should be live soon.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. And there was a question to how many streams going out at the same time. That's what we talked about earlier. There is no formal limitation on the number of downstream networks you can push to. That is correct?
That is exactly right.
Got it.
And there's actually a newer version of the product that it's already in our staging environment. It allows you to basically, like right now, when Scott is showing you, you actually have to choose which account you want to publish to. There's a newer update coming up, hopefully in about a week from now, that actually allows you to add streams and destinations as you are live. So let's say you're going live on one channel and you decided to add another and a third and a fourth. You can easily add this as you like directly once you're actually live. And same thing has to do with the destinations going out. Right now, if you have a custom RTMP, let's say going to an Instagram channel or going to and some sort of like you have an HLS feed going to Akamai, you can customize the output in which we send this format to. So you can support RTMP, HLS, SRT, MPEG dash, and such.
Got it. What is the, in terms of customization, if somebody wants something, specific done with it, what is the usual turnaround time on your professional services team getting that customized for a client?
It depends on exactly what's being requested. We're usually pretty fast. Some of the video related stuff takes a little longer. Some things that are like HTML or web-based development is usually quick to turn around, like within a week. But yeah, it really depends on what's being requested.
Cool. Now, what are the, as far as your source devices and, coming into the platform, is there a recommended network connectivity for those as far as what the speeds need to be?
We usually recommend, so all the processing doesn't happen on the client side in this case. The client side only does the switching and the control. Basically all of the actual video ingesting and transcoding happens on the cloud. From a control perspective, we recommend about 10 megabits of speed, internet speed or higher, just to have a bit have a smooth experience. But that does not change any of the actual quality of the encoding and the transcoding, as that gets to the cloud directly. Does that answer the question, or did I miss any part in here?
No, I think that hits that one quite well. So about 10 megs to manage it, but everything else is done in the cloud, so you're not stressing over it. What about from the contribution side, the encoders? I'm assuming from a 1080, a nominal 1080 feed, what's the recommended bandwidth or the recommended stream bandwidth for those?
Yeah, that's a great question. So typically we see, like, let's say 720p has usually around 2 to 3 megabits per second. And the 1080p usually it's closer to 5 megabits per second. But we have some customers who are pushing in 15 megabits per second at 720 or 1080. So it can vary, but from the streaming side, some of the platforms, if you're streaming to Facebook Live, for example, or YouTube Live, they have a limitation how much bandwidth they can take from our side.
Yeah. Got it. I think that's the bulk of them. If you didn't get your question answered the way you were hoping to, either toss it back up at me again in the panel or send it to us in email, and we're happy to take that one offline. I know there were a couple questions to pricing, and how it's sold, and obviously we don't talk about numbers on these shows. This is more about the technology and the excitement behind the technology. We'll happily take that one offline with you and get you pricing and get you a better understanding of how it would fit in your environment. Matt, anything we missing?
No, I mean, I think just the biggest takeaway is that this is a really easy way to get into doing some remote productions that you might need to be doing or that your clients might need to be doing. It's a really easy migration to this platform that doesn't require a ton of infrastructure upgrades or hardware purchases. So if you have customers that are, expressing any interest in this, this is a great way to kind of get going now. When we look at what's available out in the market, doing remote production is not an easy undertaking with most of the technologies that exist out there. It's either you're doing some form of a video conference, or you're going to a full-scale remote broadcast that is extremely expensive and extremely time-consuming to set up. This, on the other hand, can be done in hours with not even a large contract. So even if it's something small, we can help. So that's my real takeaway for everyone, is that we finally have a solution for this type of remote broadcast that's easy to deploy and inexpensive.
Yeah, easy to deploy. It's a checkbox, right? It's sign in and create an account. That's amazing. From a, I had a thought here is, I know of a story that I don't even think was about you guys, but it was an esports company that was managing a live tournament, a live event. And in the LinkedIn post, when you looked at the screen, they were talking about something completely different, but you could see the JB Alyve platform in the background. Do you guys have any stories, any case studies, any clients that have used this in the past, couple months and have success stories around it?
Yeah, I can speak to one. It was my last trip before the world shut down. So Miss Germany was running this very successfully to exclusively stream the Miss Germany contest across Europe and their social channels. So that was one really good use case of this in a live production environment that went quite well. And if you go Google Miss Germany 2020. That's all that's all us under the hood. So that was a really, really great use case. Bilal, I don't know, I know you're working with clients, but is there any that are non-NDA that we can discuss outside of that one on the West Coast?
So we have basically NBC O&O, NBC Bay Area, for example. They have been using us quite extensively during the pandemic to take a lot of the live feeds and then distribute them to YouTube Live, Twitter, and to Facebook Live, and then get live analytics with some graphics on top. So a station similar to that as well is a great use case from that perspective. Now we have a few more features that are going to be coming soon, just to kind of get a bit of highlights on that end. We are working on adding the ability to use the platform to invite guests instead of using a Zoom. So we have a format of, let's say, 2 speakers or 4 or 6, and you can invite the speakers in, and they could basically come on the actual stream live without having to use a Zoom platform in this case. So that gives you a bit more flexibility as far as the graphics. So that is something that we are working on right now. As we discussed earlier, we have the picture-in-picture is something that is being worked on. We have a more dynamic graphic system, basically similar to this, but allows you to change things, have some animations. That's also is coming. And there was one more thing, audio control. So audio control, we have 2 releases coming regarding that. One is almost ready, and then one more is in development. So you have the ability to do audio mixing, changing between different sources, doing some sort of mix minus directly from the platform.
That's a robust roadmap. That's exciting. So and that's empowering.
Thank you.
I mean, from the perspective of, we always talk about what technology we like. We like the ones that are focused on a roadmap, right? That are developing and continuing to push, and develop the platform, because that's important. Can't sit on your laurels. I had a question in the channel as to resellers. Matt, traditionally for the resellers, this falls in line with the rest of the Grass Valley programs, correct?
Yeah, correct. And anybody on here that has access to the JB&A price guide, it's already listed there. So it's really simple to understand the pricing model of it. But if you have questions, reach out to your JB&A rep. We're happy to help. This is a really exciting platform, and one of the things, as you hear Belal talk about the product roadmap, that's another great reason why a SaaS solution is fantastic, right? You get all of these great new updates that are coming out on a brand new product. So yeah, this is this is something that we can get going immediately for anybody that needs it.
Cool. All right, that was a lot to take in such a short amount of time. Scott, great job. You handled it well.
I did the easy part. I rely on Belal for all the hard questions, but thanks for having
you got the tough part. You got to put your mug on the camera.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
And like me, you got to mess up live on air because that's always the fun part, right? When something
Yeah.
goes wrong, is my favorite time of all. So
now I have to go. Now I have to go give. Oh, you're American, but I was gonna have to go give Rogers a tough time for dropping the internet connection in between my live broadcasts.
hey, unless you were a T-Mobile fan earlier this week who lost communication across the country, so don't feel they all do it. As always, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you want pricing, if you want a demo, the digits are on the screen. Call, email, click, reach out to your JB&A rep. Like Matt said, the pricing is already published. If you're one of the dealers, you know how to get it. Scott, thank you so much for being here. Bilal, thank you for answering the tough questions.
Thanks again.
Much obliged.
Thank you, guys.
Matt, pleasure having you on again. We will see you all on the next episode of JB&A Today, the live edition.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Take care,
Thanks.
everyone.